Prison would separate his father and son for 24 years, but music would reunite them. Chauncey Hollis Jr., known to the hip-hop world as the producer Hit Boy, would suffer a tumultuous upbringing growing up in Fontana, California. But before Hit Boy would be known for producing Sicko Mode by Travis Scott, Trophies by Lil Wayne, and Niggas in Paris for Kanye and Jay-Z, he would endure a rocky childhood and a slimy introduction to the music industry.
I'm not a studio banger, but I bang on wax. I banged on my son so hard, he banged back.
Born young to two teenage parents, gangbanging and street life was a lifestyle circulating around him, and it would be the lifestyle that made his father, Big Hit, a victim of the system. Subscribe to my YouTube, Jared Star, and follow me on IG at JaredStar1. In 1993, Big Hit was caught with 10 kilos of cocaine, 10 guns, and $300K in cash, and was sentenced to 15 years in federal prison. Now, the restrictions of prison created a strange relationship between Hit Boy and his father, with him sometimes going up to 5 years without hearing his son's voice or seeing his face. So with Hit Boy's father being out the picture for the majority of his adolescent years, him and his mother moved in with their uncle Rodney, who was a musician in the R&B group Troop. Now, Hit Boy had it fairly easy between the ages of 1 to 5, but after his uncle's career slowed up, their living situation got much worse. At age 13, Hit Boy started writing rhymes and producing beats, but what really gave him the stamp that he was on the right path was when he sold one of his first beats for $20, which felt like a couple hundred in 2003. Hit Boy would branch off onto MySpace to expand his reach and start selling his beats, and it will be Polo the Don that reached out to him on MySpace and forever changed his situation. Now, late 06, execs were lowballing Hit Boy with producer publishing deals without any prior hits, and Polo the Don would secure Hit Boy a $50,000 publishing deal. Now, at the first sight, it would be everything that he ever wanted. That once glamorized contract, though, would be the shackles that drained his future earnings from his great accomplishments. After flying out to LA with Polo the Don in 2009, Hit Boy runs to Kanye West at his studio and plays beat selections for him. Now, quickly after Kanye heard this, he would sign him to a 2-year production deal with Good Music. But the intricacies of his contract would show him early on how producers and artists get paid the least because they have to split their bread with other people based off other deals.
We just had it set up to where he got a percentage of the stuff I was doing, and that was the trade-off, really. But I already had a manager at the time, so people don't see that I was giving up 20% to my manager, 20% to Kanye, and another 10% between lawyers and accountants. So I was really thugging, really hustling at the time. Half of my money was gone, let alone taxes. So I was really getting like 25% of my money at the time.
In retrospect, in the music business, relationships are worth more than money. And this production deal would pay off when Jay-Z and Kanye would hop on the song Niggas in Paris, which surpassed billions of views on various platforms. Now, Niggas in Paris will be the stamp that made him on the radar of every major rapper, winning him his first ever Grammys in 2012 for the Best Rap Song. With Big Hit as role model in jail, as Hit Boy's career was slowly about to blow, there was nobody to inform Hit Boy of the many shady industry politics and confusing contracts. Despite producing for Ye and Hove, Hit Boy would give the real deal spill about getting millions of dollars from a record deal with Jimmy Iovine and then going dead broke trying to put on his day one friends that led to an ultimate disaster.
Get a deal, I get M's, I go get a crib in Tarzana in the Valley. I move all the homies in. The homies start moving they homies in. Homies start moving they homies in. It was just a recipe for disaster, but that's what niggas come from. Niggas come from having nothing, so when you come up, you want to put your homies on. I turned up 2012, got dumb bread. By 2017, I was laying on my ground with $0 on my account after having millions.
You're lying.
Balled up in a fetus, crying, nobody around me, by myself.
The homies complex is the biggest issue that rappers typically face, but there were many benefits from his success. Producing for Kanye and Jay-Z would attract other rappers such as Drake, Travis Scott, and Nas, but Hit Boy collaborating with Destiny's literal child Beyonce would be the downfall of his relationship with Kanye and his contract at Good Music. Fresh off the success of Niggas in Paris, Hit Boy produced Beyonce's song Thique. Now, although it wasn't clear what exactly happened and why Ye's was opposed to him working with Queen Bee, Hit Boy was upset with Kanye trying to blackball him with major artists and expressed his disdain for Kanye after he told him face to face that he stopped picking his beats after working with Beyonce. Now, Hit Boy took Ye trying to blackball him very personal because potentially it jeopardized his future relationships with bigger and better artists. So many rappers have been blackballed within their career, whether it's for being too real or a certified gangster rapper, perpetuating anti-Semitic remarks about other people, or even snitching. Now, the future was unknown for Hit Boy, and once he got a bigger song placement with Travis and Drake, he would speak on the willingness to forgive Kanye because he was such an inspiration sonically growing up in California.
that would be the shit. I want to work with the nigga for real. Like, I love the nigga because I just grew up on him. Like, that was my era. Like, I started making beats '03. The nigga came out in '03, basically, like, as far as his own shit, turning up. And that shit inspired me.
The success of Niggas in Paris had Hit Boy amped up for a payday that never really came. Now, the song became so popular that it was performed 12 times in Paris by the two. However, it would be a slave publishing deal that Hit Boy signed at 19 that would withhold his earnings. Now, similar to Quentin Miller, Drake's ghostwriter who made pennies to a dollar from producing Drake's biggest hits, Hit Boy would experience a similar feeling. Now, after being stuck in a 14-year publishing deal, which is crazy, Hit Boy referred to his contract as worse than Scottie Pippen's, comparing himself to the Hall of Fame forward who was dubbed as Michael Jordan's sidekick, who was severely underpaid with one of the worst contracts in the NBA. So Hit Boy wanted to send out a message to everyone. We gotta find some type of way to really educate the next generation, man, because there's not a lot out there. If you look online, there's no real information on how to get out of a publishing deal, how to really avoid a terrible publishing deal. And it's like, I'm not on a decline. I'm really on the #1 album in the country. So it's like bugging, and I feel connected with the people. Hit Boy's awareness throughout the years leads into something very remarkable that 50 Cent said about there being more ruthless people in the music business than the streets. Because in the music business, it's non-confrontational. They have you sign your life away with a pen and paper and not a gun in your face, so you don't even realize you've been robbed until it's too late.
Robbery, at least it will give you the courtesy of showing you the gun, so you can have those anxieties and feel those feelings that you would feel when you're being robbed. They'll do it on a piece of paper where you feel nothing. And just rob you right there.
In 2016, his music placements would slow down, and Hit Boy would link with Dom Kennedy, a former member of Odd Future, who had been excelling as an independent artist and producer. Now, Hit Boy, with tired of the shadiness of the music business, wanted to lock in with Dom Kennedy, who showed him that he could still succeed being independent. They worked on the Courtesy of Half a Mil mixtapes, and these practices of paying out of pocket for studio time and shows and lifestyle as opposed to label prove that the independent route is more costly in the beginning, but when you hit a bank record, you get a larger chunk of the royalties. This would be the approach that Hit Boy would embody to propel the rap career of his father, Big Hit, when he got released from jail. In 2008, Big Hit was released in jail, but in 2014, Big Hit would be arrested again for his involvement in a hit and run in LA that left a couple people injured. The officers would pull him over during a traffic stop in Illinois and find out that he had outstanding warrant in California and sentence him to 9 years in prison. At the age of 53, Big Hit would be released from prison and went straight to the studio, saying, "I felt guilty about not being out of prison and missing his success." Music was the one thing that Big Hit aspired to do during his late teenage years in the streets, but never got around to it because he went to jail. Being from the West Coast, Big Hit grew inspiration from Snoop Dogg, a rapper equally solidified in gang culture and the music industry. And just by looking at Big Hit, he sort of looks like a mix of Prodigy, Snoop, and Nipsey Hussle. But being away from Hit Boy was torture. I had to sit him down and let him know I didn't just up and leave him. I was out there trying to provide for us, regardless if I was selling drugs, robbing, or whatever I was doing. I was bringing it back to the table. I feel like he kind of gets it now, and I told him I was being rebellious against my pops. I was just headstrong at a young age. Like many rappers, music became his father and son's form of therapy, as Big Hit never had the tools to rebuild his relationship with his son. Life after prison will be an empowering movement. When Big Hit and Hit Boy released The Truth Is In My Eyes, now the independently released album on BigHitNupa.com came out with limited edition CDs, magazines, t-shirts, and bundles. The American prison systems have single-handedly destroyed many black households, but with Hit Boy working with Dom Kennedy and his entire slavery punishing deal, Hit Boy wanted to launch his father's career the right way. Now with the ad revenue for Spotify and Apple Music being $2,000 to $4,000 per million streams, Hit Boy created a direct creator-to-consumer market so they could retain all the earnings. Hit Boy, producing the entire album, used his music connections to get Snoop Dogg, Benny the Butcher, and Mozzie, and many other big names to support Big Hit's career. Hip-hop has always been a type of genre where it was in with the new and out with the old. However, due to Big Hit's blood relationship with Hit Boy, many people have embraced him. Over the last 3 years, Hit Boy has become Nas's #1 producer, produced for him on all the King's Diseases and the 3 installments of the Magic series. Now, many producers often get tied to making beats with one certain cadence or style influenced by the West Coast or the East Coast, but Hit Boy never fell into that trap because he worked with everyone and he's always been really humble. The loyalty of Hit Boy would be returned by the game in favor of Big Hit, when the game agreed to release a collab Blood album, Paisley Dreams. Now the game, out of respect to Big Hit, would give him the entire royalties of the album, which is not typical, especially considering that the game has been around for 20 years and Big Hit's rap career has been non-existent prior to this. At first, Big Hit was frustrated transitioning to the music game because it was delayed gratification, totally opposite from the streets. Whatever you sell, you get paid, but the music industry doesn't quite work like that. Now, gang culture and hip-hop have always been coexisting, so it's going to be really interesting to see how the career of this 50-year-old rapper takes off. Subscribe to my YouTube, Jared Star. Follow me on Instagram at JaredStar1. I'm gone.